It's time to chain up your expectations and throw away the keys. You're on the threshold of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast, where sugarcoating is for donuts, not deals. Here's your host, the renegade realtor who tears up the rule book and feeds it to the termites, Mike Rady. Brace for impact. It's about to everybody? Get real.
It's Mike Rady, Get Seen, Get Sold. How are you? So we're dropping down a special edition of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast today. I got a panel of people that are experts in the industry, people that I look up to. I respect what they have to say. I respect what they do. These are folks that are the real in real estate. They keep it real all day long. I'm very excited to have this group of people here. They're outspoken. They're just as honest as core as can be. And, this is going to be an awesome thing. We don't know how it's going to turn out. It's uncut. It's live. It's unscripted. We don't know what's going to happen, good or bad. But, let me bring on the first person here. We're going to bring on Matt.
What's going on, Mike?
Hey, Matt, just tell everybody about yourself real quick, and we'll move through the chain of people, and we'll get started.
Sure, you got it. Well, I am the only lender on the panel today, trying to give a different perspective of what we're seeing on our side of everything. I am the director and owner of Maximus Mortgage Advisors. Maximus is located in Cherry Hill. Our parent company, EMM Loans, has been around for about 15 years. We close every type of program you can imagine, from bridge loans to bank statement programs, all that good stuff that everyone's looking for, and lend in all the states that matter. I've been local. I've lived in South Jersey most of my life, and we lend primarily in Eastern Pennsylvania, heavy in Philly, and then all of New Jersey, but focus on South, Central, and down the shore.
Thank you, Matt. Here we have Nancy.
Hey there. So I'm Nancy Kwolek, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Real Estate Group and the Nancy Kwolek team. I've been in South Jersey for 30 years, been a broker owner for 8, and in the industry for about 18 years. And I'm excited to see how the conversation goes today. Thanks for having me on, Michael.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks. Here we go, Rob. Surprise. I think you're talking to me.
Oh, he's quiet for once. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Sorry.
Oh, look what I did. I just muted myself.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Can we do that in real life?
Yeah, you just say what the whole industry's been trying to do.
Yeah, seriously, mute myself. I try to get silenced every single day with the stuff I post on social media. So I am Rob Eunice with Prime Realty Partners. I'm the broker manager of the Cherry Hill office. I'm also co-team leader of Evolution Realty Partners, team that's been around for about 3 years now. I've been in the business about 10 years. Been in South Jersey for about 2/3 of my life. Traveled, did my thing, but now I'm back, and I've been here for a decade practicing real estate. Thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Mr. Mark.
Yo, what's going on? So I've been in the business for 21 years. My name is Mark Ricci, a broker, owner of Prime Realty Partners, partner in Alliance Abstract, partner in Second Street Property Management, and again in the business for 21 years. And I just had the greatest experience in my real estate career a few seconds ago when Rob Eunice was talking, but no words were coming out. That was definitely the highlight of my career so far. It's a great panel on board, and Mike, I appreciate putting this together, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's see where it goes, man. Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. So, listen, there's a couple hot topics and buzzwords and, things that people have been talking about. And all of us have been following real estate, listening to the podcast, the industry, everybody that's on it. We've all been talking about NAR. We've been talking about it to death with us as real estate agents. We have not heard too much of a perspective as it comes to a mortgage person. So, Mark, just drop off, give us a little knowledge and let us know what's going on.
That would be Matt.
I'm sorry,
hey,
Matt.
my wife's on. What's up, babe? How you doing?
Yeah,
First of all, don't ever.
She wanted me muted too. Look at those laugh emojis.
Yeah,
Mike, you want me to shave my head and pretend I'm Mark? I mean, it's gonna take me a second.
No, you're too handsome.
All right, I'll get there. Hey, listen, it's getting there, man. It's slowly, after 2 kids, it's almost gone. All right, it's definitely graying.
Have 2 more and you'll be there.
This is all boys.
So I
That
know
makes
my
sense
daughter's.
when you make it more.
So all right, so I and we're in a little delay here, so I'm just gonna start talking. But look, on a lender's perspective, one, I just want to say this and preface the whole thing. I know your pain. I feel it right here, because remember when Dodd-Frank came out, a little over 15 years ago or 10 years, we shit ourselves because we didn't know what was going to happen. We were getting paid. Coincidentally, I'm not going to blow up everyone's spot. Doesn't matter. It's a really long time ago. But I've been doing this 23 years, and there were lenders making 3 to 5% on every loan, and they were closing a few loans here and there, driving around their Corvettes or whatever, and just bragging about how much money they're making. And then when the 08-09 financial crash happened, it was our fault. I mean, indirectly, right? So they totally overhauled the way that we do business and the way we get paid. So what happened? Well, when we got regulated, one, it got out all the assholes that should not have been in this business, and the ones that were just completely screwing over these buyers and refinancing people again and again just to make that money. So it really, in my opinion, it cleared out everybody, and it's what catapulted my career to where I am now. So, which isn't much further. So it ended up being a very good thing, but we made less. Be very real with people. We ended up making less, but it was better because there was less competition out there. So that being said, I think that from a lender's perspective, not much is changing from our point of view. We have, if commissions are going to be structured into the deal, we're talking about that, which we can go into a little bit later, but it's not going to end up taking away from seller concessions that would pay for repairs or other closing costs for the buyer. There would have to be a separate language in the contract that would specifically target these commissions. But in that case, just pay the damn commission already. I think that, from what I saw, when the dust settled, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a new normal. And the people that were the lenders, and I know the agents, everyone on here that are kind of just being proactive here and already run a good business and already are diversified with sellers, buyers, you're going to be just fine. You're going to figure it out. So, but if you any questions specifically on the lender side, let me know.
Yeah, and folks, you can chime in on YouTube. We have the live questions are up, so we'll bring them up if they're appropriate or maybe if they're inappropriate. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But you know what? So you said a good thing there, Matt. It's like, we got to diversify, right? We got to, everybody that's on this panel is going to survive whatever the changes are because we're all quick to pivot. We're all quick to move. And we live this industry. We live our job. I mean, we, obviously we have families on the outside and everything else that we do, but we give back. We're all really aggressive about what we do, and we're going to be long-standing. We're all, this is what we do. So,
I
think
am
Matt.
excited.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Right, so I'm excited about this. So, me, my brokerage, my team, we've been getting signed buyer's agency and getting paid by the buyer for years, and it's hard when everybody else is going, oh, we don't do buyer's agency, we don't talk about those things. It just shows up on a commission statement or on a CD. Having that conversation up front, what we say to our clients is, we're having this conversation up front. We're transparent about how we're getting paid. This is how it's going to function. I think a lot of people outside of our industry have no idea how we get paid. They don't know if we get paid hourly. They don't know if we get paid by opening the doors. They honestly don't know these things. People that have bought and sold several times still don't understand the structure of how this works. And when they sit down and really think about the fact that, you're showing a house to someone for 4 months, that's time you're taking out of your day. You don't know how you're getting paid. So, you bring that back to, if you're a scientist or you work at a Walmart fulfillment center or whatever it is you do, you go in every day, you know what your paycheck looks like. And so on my team, we've been signing buyer's agency. We've been collecting deficiency fees or having conversations around commission and what it looks like and who pays it since the start of this, I'm going to say 8 months into this lawsuit, I started talking about this with my team, and we developed a strategy, and that's been incredibly successful for the team. And, there's a lot of people out there that haven't liked the strategy, but I'm loving the fact that I'm going to be able to say, you're going to have to sign buyer's agency no matter where you go because right now.
But you wish you could get paid hourly.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when you do that, it's a losing proposition for sure.
I've always
really
required buyer agency contracts here at Prime from day one, and it's something that was never an option here. Always required it, and we definitely have agents here that collect the deficiency when there is that. I think and Nancy, you're completely on point with that there's so many people still that don't understand how agents get paid, but there's also, which is shocking, and it's kind of still the same, that there's a tremendous amount of people out there, Matt, I'm sure you can testify to that people still think you need to put 20% down to buy a property. So the lack of knowledge in our business, in our industry, really is, it's kind of alarming. And I think with this and everything that's coming down, it really puts us now in the position that we become the teachers, and we have to teach. There's no option but to teach. So when you're looking at teaching people, and it's something we've always done with the explanation of that buyer rep agreement, the buyer agency agreement, how people get paid, because I'm sorry, I don't work for free. We don't work for free, even though I'm sure there's people that have sat there and said, oh, I'm free to you. No, asshole, I'm not. I'm not free. There's nothing free about me. I work my ass off. You need to understand how I get compensated. Everywhere that any consumer goes, they walk in and they go to work with someone, and they are explained how that person, how that profession, the professional they're working with, is compensated. But our industry took a step back from that, or took a back seat to that, and didn't do it because people just felt that you could have shit land in your lap and you go with it, and that's it. So I'm excited for the changes. I really am. I don't think it's going to be as challenging as some people think it's going to be. Like I said, we've always required the buyer agency agreement. Now it's just a different piece of knowledge and different level of education that we have to explain to people.
At the end of the day, it's only going to help people. The grand scheme of things, people are now just protected. The agent population, unfortunately, has not had the level of education they needed to understand that by not having something like that signed, you're essentially a sub-agent of the seller, and the other part of it being that you are no longer obligated to commission. The seller turns around and says they're not paying anything. You got to go after somebody for it, which is going to end up becoming a bigger dilemma in the future. That people are going to have to battle in these predominantly FHA and VA markets, where sellers' concessions are going to be more applicable, particularly because buyers who have lower credit scores and lesser income, higher debt to income ratios, are going to be in scenarios where they can't afford to pay the agent. So a seller credit type of scenario is going to be very relevant. The conversation isn't complicated. I think it's just simply setting the expectation like we do with everything else when we're working, whether it's an agent or a buyer or seller that we're working with, or the lender, or so on and so forth. It's, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, just want to let you know, in order for me to properly represent you to the best of my ability, we need to have a buyer's agency conversation. Because in order for me to represent you, here's my fee. And hopefully, if you buy the right house, the seller is going to potentially cover a portion or the entire value that you're going to get from me. However, if that does not happen, this protects me. If you don't have that conversation, you're in a position. What's that?
Yeah, no, and you're right. So, and that leads to a different level of excellence. And for those of you who may be watching this now or watch it later, I absolutely love our industry. I'm very, very passionate about our industry. I'm very passionate about excellence in the business. And I will never do anything for the rest of my life, can never see myself in any other industry for the rest of my life. But our industry as a whole has never really led itself to pushing excellence. And that's a big part of the problem in our industry. And it's never been that way. And I make jokes about it that my father is 79 years old and he umps and refs beer league softball and basketball games. He's got to take a 2-week class, or he's got to take a class every year and have to get an 85% or above on that in order for him to ump the beer league softball games. Well, we got to take a one-time class, 2 weeks, and get a C- on it. So I've always joked about it that people are handing over the most expensive investments of their entire life to C- students, and there's nothing that's okay with that. But the problem is that there's so much money that floats around with people going to school and then fingerprinting, then the exam, and then the actual license itself for the state to sit there and send you an email saying, great, you passed. and all this crap. That's not going to change. So it's always been up to.
The interesting thing about it, and I'm going to interrupt a little bit, is that NAR, so that's our lobbying, our lobbying group. NAR is the one that dumbed it down. NAR said, you know what? Because I looked this up. NAR said you cannot pay somebody according to their level of experience. So in other words, if you're out of school 2 weeks, and the people that had the most issue with my famous $1 commission were those people that were right out of school and they're in brokerages and they're being taught that entitlement. And they're going, and I've been in the business 18 years. I procured the listing. I'm doing the marketing. I'm taking care of things. And in some cases, even fronting money to have repair work done. And they're going, I want my 3% instead of their whatever. And I'm going, hold on. You haven't even seen the house yet. You don't even know if your client's going to like that house. And by all means, let's have that discussion about commission. I've laid something out here, but NAR said, you cannot compensate someone based on years of experience. You're aware of that, right? So in Bright MLS and in all of the rules, it says you are not allowed to pay somebody based on level of experience. Because I looked it up. So I'm like, I'm paying somebody 0 to 2 years, 1%, somebody 2 to 5 years, a different percent. Can't do it, right? No other profession. So an attorney fresh out of law school, they're getting paid nearly as a paralegal, maybe a few steps above. When they're an all-out attorney, they're getting paid differently. Same with a resident and a doctor. Someone that's been in this business 18 years, 23 years, they're being paid differently than right out of school. Our profession, such as it is, we're not allowed to compensate based on your experience and your level of professionalism, which NAR did not us.
Can I just, for a lot of people that are watching this or listening that might be like, what the fuck is NAR and what does all this have to do with anyway? It's the National Association of Realtors. And so, that little R and, that's what this is all about. But let me be very real because I know how people think. Let me break this down. This was a bunch of rich assholes that sued NAR, the National Association of Realtors, that had the time and money to even do that. And the funny thing is every single one of them that sued used the buyer's agent to sell their house. It ended up all of this is really just rich assholes that don't want to have to pay the 5-6%, because if you're selling a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home, it's not going to be destroying anybody financially. But if you're selling a $2 or $3 million home, yes, that could be $150,000 that you're now paying. And maybe yes, I could see that where it's like, look. If I have a new construction down the shore, $3 million, we have cash buyers all over trying to buy this damn thing, and it's going to go within 2 days. All right, well, maybe that's a negotiation now I'm going to have with my agent, where instead of paying, the 5%, it's a flat fee or whatever. I could see that conversation. But now it's trickled into every walk of life with real estate, and people are just sitting here, it's just effing everyone's world up. So I just wanted to just take a step back there and just say, from my perspective, what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Yeah, you're right, Matt. So, clearing up with the NAR and everything else, but the one big thing that we've been talking about, I did a podcast once before with one of the recruiters from one of the big companies, is the bar of entry is extremely low. I mean, literally, it's a couple of $100. You got 75 hours worth of class. The class pretty much just teaches you how to pass the test. It does not teach you how to do real estate. There's nothing in there when it has the ethics and everything else like that. Sure, you learn what's supposed to be ethical, but it doesn't teach you about the business. It doesn't teach you about building the relationships. It doesn't teach you about the skillful art of negotiation. And don't think for 1 second that is not a skillful art. You're negotiating with the other agent, with the clients, the buyers, the sellers from the very first second you talk to them. And none of that is taught. It's just, it's too often, I hate to say it, but I'm dealing with agents, whether dual career or not or whatever, that's fine, but they just don't know how to be responsive. They don't participate properly in this, and they're sluggish. And it's just, for me, it ruins the industry, and it makes me upset. And I'm probably the person here with the least amount of time in the industry. I think I'm just walking into my 6th year. I'm hanging out here because I love it. I love the industry, and I love doing what we do, and I work hard. But our agents today that are not educated can't educate Mr. and Mrs. Seller and Buyer. So that turns a lot of what we do into shit, and that's why our deals become so difficult when they don't have to be. And the fact that they have to share the same amount of pay with us, as opposed to there being varying levels, is a bunch of horse shit. Because it's not fair. If I sell a house for $1.3 million, I got to split $30,000 with you. You know, because you got your license, because you passed the test, and like Mark said, subpar. You got a C, you got a 70, and now I got to give you 15 to 20 grand of my commission. Absolutely ridiculous.
The market, I feel like over the course of the last 6 years, because of how easy it was during the pandemic, I think really, I mean, it was already a lower bar industry, but we didn't hold anybody to a high standard the last 6 years, and it made it even worse, you know. And then everybody just continued to think that it was easy. And now that it's a skill-based market, I'm going to go rattle a few things off here. Everybody either bought or refinanced under 4.5%. In addition to that, all the houses that are on the market are right now distressed scenarios, right? Nobody's moving unless they have to, because nobody's going to make a non-lateral move, right? So what are you seeing? You're seeing divorce, estate, inheritance, any sort of bankruptcy scenario. You're talking about short sales, foreclosures, which are going to be coming up rampant more so, not like the big mortgage crisis 2008 to 12, but you know, you're going to see those more predominantly than we have in the last 5 years, and that's just the market now. So because we're in a skill-based market, you know, it's almost fitting that the NAR thing happened to be on the brink of settlement. Obviously, settlement happened, but it's not going to be enforced until about July. But at the end of the day here, we're simply going to see the flood of exiting agents that we've all been kind of talking about for a long time. You know, I never wish ill will on people, but the God's honest truth is that there's just too many agents that have no education and haven't made an attempt to find somebody who can be in their corner to mentor them and coach them. The biggest thing that I found that agents struggle with simply is not having somebody to call. They need an answer to a question that is above their pay grade. And if they had that, I would argue that it doesn't matter the level of experience you have. If you go to your client, you say, listen, I don't have the answer to this question right now, but I know who does. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. You make the phone call.
That's the definition of a professional, right? That's the definition of a professional. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I know where to go get an answer, right? That's what I tell my agents. Like, the only bad question is the one you don't ask, and you've got to be able to say, raise your hand and go, yo, I need help. And my agents know that they can get me. I mean, I have my limits, right? So after 11 o'clock at night, unless something big is going on, I'm not answering the phone. Same before 8 o'clock in the morning, because I need my time for yoga, you know, to stay cool. But, you know, but don't give an answer you don't know the truth of, and don't not answer, right? And so more just avoid. And I think that's what's missing in professionalism, because a doctor looks for a second opinion. A dentist will look for a second opinion. An attorney, there's, you know, tons of opinions out there. And in our business, they just shrug their shoulders and don't answer most of the time. They just don't answer. So I've had, you all have had this experience, right? You've all had this experience where you've got, where you have someone doing a deal.
Like you want people asking questions. And Nancy, I know you do the same as far as being a broker owner there. And we do the same here. Guys, always ask the questions. But one of the things we tell people is that stop watching HGTV. Stop popping your questions in all these friggin' Facebook groups, because look, there are some brilliant people in Facebook groups, and some people have a lot of value. But the problem is that a lot of times questions are asked either state specific, board specific, or brokerage specific. And people are going out there, and then you're getting people that are still seeing things on YouTube University, which is crap in itself. Don't do that. Don't ask the questions out there. Go direct to the source, the person that you're putting your trust and your faith into to help you grow a business and help you grow your career. Go to that person. Always ask that person the question. That's your first person to turn to when you got questions. But you have to always ask. But again, a lot of people don't know what questions to ask. They just can, I'm so fucking tired of hearing fake it till you make it. You can't fake shit, man. I'm sorry. You can't do that. Stop with the fake it till you can't fake through it. You know why? People that you're dealing with, the consumers that you're dealing with, can read through the BS. They know that if you know what you're talking about, know if you don't know what you're talking about. So get the answer and leverage the team that you have behind you. That's all. That team behind you is your branch manager, your broker of record, a regional vice president. If you're one of the big box places, that's a team that you got behind you. You have to leverage that, or people in coaching, whatever it is. I got my own opinions on that, but I won't say about that.
Well,
but you have people you can leverage.
Mark, that makes a lot of sense. So, when I got out of real estate school, I knew how to pass the test, and I have a little bit of a real estate marketing background from another company that I own. But I did not interview brokers. And that was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made because I didn't know to interview brokers. Real estate school did not tell me to interview brokers. So, I went with the big hot air balloon company and, they were going to mentor me and teach me how to do stuff. And my first 3 deals, I bought a refrigerator, a garage door opener, and I paid for a roof repair. So, and because I didn't know better, because whoever was supposed to be mentoring me and taking care of me didn't. I was left out on my own to kind of figure shit out. So I didn't have anybody to go to. But I will say this, and I'm not trying to stroke anybody here, but I was lucky. Rob had picked up the phone. Mark, you picked up the phone. Nancy, I didn't know you at the time. But, luckily, and you guys were all with different companies than what you're with now, except for Nancy. And I was able to find mentorship in what was now became my peers. And, and it worked out because, we're not prepared when we get into the field, and we got to know, and you got to align yourself with the right company. So you take somebody like Nancy who's been in business for the time that she's been in business, she probably knows what she's doing. She knows she's not full of shit. She knows what she's talking about. It's longevity. She cannot fake it till she makes it because she fucking made it. She's showing you. And that's just the way it is. And Mark and Rob, they're doing it. They got to do what they got to do. And they're constantly growing and evolving. And, that's a good sign too. When you follow people and you see how they grow and evolve, I watch real estate agents like some people watch sports stars, and I keep, I don't have a scorecard of each one of you, but, I'm following the industry, see where it's going. I need to know what my next moves are going to be.
Yeah. You know what my favorite thing about
you have to follow the industry, and you have to be very adept as far as what's happening in the industry, and that's with brokerages and that's with people in the business. I spend a lot, not a lot of my days, but I spend a lot of time understanding, researching, learning other brokerages. I have to understand what it is that they offer, who they are, the people that are there. Big part is the people in the business, relationships. Not enough people put enough behind relationship capital, and there has to be there, And look, whatever people do in the business, I don't care how much business you do, how little business that you do. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to sell 2 properties, great. My mom's retired at 79. She sells real estate. She wants to sell 3 to 4 homes a year. Her character's fucking spectacular. So I don't care if it's 2 homes a year that you want to sell. But if you're going to do that, you damn well better put the time in to understand what it is that you're doing so you can represent your people to the best of your ability with those 2 clients a year.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Not to go back to what Mike was saying a second ago, but my favorite thing about this business is, as you grow, you kind of like latch on to certain people that you might jive with. And, it's cool. Things kind of came full circle on here, even though I haven't had as much interaction with Matt over the years as I would have liked. Everybody else on this panel, I consider not just a peer, but a friend of mine. So when Mike asked me to jump on here, it was like the perfect possible opportunity I wasn't going to say no, but I think it's funny because Mike, you mentioned how like it's about answering your phone. In the beginning of my career, brand new, the only experience I had was the environmental space, which gave me a little bit of insight for the paragraph 16 of the Jersey contract, right? Because the inspection period. If I didn't have the ability to knock on some of the top producers' doors, whether I liked them or not, to get a question answered that I knew I wasn't going to be able to get somebody else on the phone for, I don't know if I would have been able to respond as quickly as I needed to be considered an expert professional by any of my clients. So, it really goes to show that in this business, it really comes down to not just the relationships we build outside of the business, but within the business. You have to have people that are reliable who can help you. I mean, Nancy and I call each other every so often for stuff. And, I'm nowhere near the very top. And Nancy's at a higher level than me, but I guarantee you there's stuff that she doesn't know either, right? So, like, we're always trying to pick the brains of each other to try and grab more information. But it helps to have people like this that are accessible.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the piece. I mean, one of the reasons we did the Real Estate Renegades, we went out and did a few things, was we said to people, come ask us questions. Like I always say, giving back is, answering questions. I want to level up this profession. The more people that are real professionals, the better we do. I want to see us grab larger market share. That's why I'm doing this with, people that are going to leave the business, that should leave the business. The ones that are there to sell mom's house and maybe sell, their grandmother's whatever. And they're doing a piss poor job, for lack of a better way to say it. I mean, honestly, they leave money on the table. I mean, I had a client say to me, with someone who's been in the business 20 years, they sold this person a house, and they were like, I didn't know I could ask for repairs. And I was like, was it an as-is sale? Was it that? No. Literally, they were not schooled on how to purchase that home at the time. So as the listing agent, I'm saying these things are going to happen. And they're going, well, why wasn't I afforded those things? I'm like, here's the thing. I can't speak to that. I wasn't part of the transaction. However, But in really looking at questions in the documents, and I looked at some of the transcripts, I was like, whoa, this person honestly didn't represent the right way, didn't ask questions, didn't tell them they could ask for some of the things that they should have been able to ask for. And that person, that consumer is none the wiser, right? And that's unfortunate. That's happening every day. It's a sin. And so as people leave that, you call them dual agent, Mike, you called them dual agent. Part-time agents, I think, should have to say I'm a part-time agent. Like if you're doing something else and you're not available 9 to 5, that should have to be on your damn business card, just like, other things have to be on there, because how many teachers you deal with? I love teachers. Teachers are amazing. But if you can't talk to your client between 8 and 3 or 8 and 4, and your client doesn't know why, and they're calling me because they can't get answers, like that's an issue. And I'm sure you're shaking your head, Rob. This happens a lot more than it should.
Yep.
And listen, you want to do it part-time because you're hustling, that's awesome. Tell people what's going on. I've literally had people hide it. And then when I say to their client at the closing table, it somehow comes up and they're like, I had no idea. And they're pissed. And they should be, right? Like, why didn't I know this?
One of the things, Paul, Mark, I just called you Paul. Paul's going to have no hair soon anyway because of the baby, so it's fitting. What I was going to say is that one of the things that Mark and I often end up having to tell agents, even that are at the office and on my team even, it doesn't matter whether or not you're on vacation or you work a part-time job or whatever it is. If your client needs access to you, make sure there's somebody sitting in your stead. That means if there's a question that needs to be asked during your 9 to 5 job, make sure that there's somebody on standby. Or even if there's a house that needs to be shown on a weekend and you're going on vacation, delegate. You're going to grow your business to the point where you have to learn to delegate anyway. You might as well start early so that you can learn that skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and look, and I think part of it is too with Rob. You talk about grow your business. That's not viewed enough. It's not seen enough that way that it's your business. Then as soon as you get your license and you hang it somewhere, you own a business and you're not a realtor. Stop thinking you're a realtor and hunting after a paycheck. I think part of that with being a business owner is you have to understand so many facets of what it is that we do, so many facets of the marketplace, so many facets of people. You need to understand the psychology of people. You need to become an expert in people, but you also need to know math. You need to know numbers. You need to know money. And I mean, Matt, you can attest to this, I'm sure, because that's what your business is. But I don't ever sit there and quote stuff about mortgages, but I know a shit ton about it because that's part of what my job is, to understand that about it. And I turn it over to Matt to take the person from there. But I'm sure Matt gets overwhelmed sometimes, or maybe stymied sometimes, about information that his client or that buyer, the buyer may have been given by an agent out there that may have seen something on YouTube or Facebook or heard in some kind of jacked up situation that they were in, because people aren't spending enough time understanding money itself. And that's what business is.
Well, first of all,
when was the last time somebody came to you and was like,
my freaking Wi-Fi for anybody to hear me. So glad to be back, folks. Glad to be back. Now my son is sleeping, so God forbid I make any noise in the house. So I'm outside. I'm outside of my porch. So just wanted to. Well, I wanted to chime in, and yeah. So what's happening now? I got to tell you, I mean, desperation is desperation. If you're watching this, listening to this, and you're thinking of doing a number of things, let me tell you the two ways that I know you're a loser. All right, ready? So, way number one, you go into solar. Okay? Way number two, my wife's laughing in the background. So way number two is you're looking to get licensed as a loan officer because you think the 3 deals you do a year, somehow now you're going to get paid so much more money. And it's going to be this amazing windfall of money. You're going to fuck yourself both ways, and you're going to lose the respect, more importantly, of your real referral partners, the real people in this industry that have been doing this. This is our career, and we've depended on our relationships in order to survive. And I was going to say this before. I never realized the amount of hate on real estate agents until I started reading the comments underneath all the NAR lawsuit stuff on social media. My favorite was somebody was like, can we just normalize calling them used home salesmen? Like instead of used car salesmen, it'd be used home salesman. And granted, there's a lot of assholes out there that are just so bad at their job. But here's I'm going to give you a perfect example of why you use an agent. Okay, so you go to use an agent, your buyer's agent. They've seen, how many times have you driven by a neighborhood and you don't even know it exists? You've driven by it 1,000 times, and until you're actually in the market of buying, you're like, holy shit, there's houses back there. Who would have thought? You know who thought? There's fucking buyer's agents. That's who thought. The ones that have walked through that neighborhood 800 times, they know where not to go, where you're going to get screwed. Did I listen to an agent when I bought my second home? No, because I'm a giant asshole, right? Just ask Mark. So I go ahead and I buy this house because it had, fun stuff, pool, gazebo, like all the stuff you want to do to party. Because God, who's gonna ever have kids, right? It was a terrible house for kids. Great house to get completely fucked up in. So what we ended up doing was we bought this house, and it was terrible. It was on a main strip. It was a cut through in Medford. It was a cut through, and we didn't realize it. And it was terrible, and the neighbors were terrible, and there were renters all around us, and they didn't take care of their property. So if I would have asked one of my 800 realtors that I'm actually really good friends with, none of the people on this panel, except for you, Nancy, I really like you, but I would have known, don't fucking buy this house. You're going to get in a lot of trouble down the road when you want to have a family. So case in point, you're getting Rob's network, as scary as that is, you're actually getting a network that he's built over the years, the 3 years he's been doing this. So he knows contractors, right? He knows plumbers. He knows everybody that you're ever going to need, attorneys, title, everything. He's going to get your learning curve. He's going to cut it in half, if not shorter. And that's a little bit about what you get with buyer's agents. I'm a big fan.
Amen. I say I'm from Jersey. I got a guy for everything, right?
Yep.
Like this is a Jersey speak, right? So I got a guy for everything, from lenders to contractors. Doesn't matter. It's huge. And listen, I've fired more lenders than I've hired, and that goes with every other piece in this business, right? From septic to electricians, especially electricians. Oh my gosh. And it's just one of these things. You go through this network, and I've had people that have known me for years. Someone recently hired somebody to finish a basement. Gave him half the money. And I was like, you did what? And they called me and I'm like, you did what? You already gave him half the money before they showed up? Like, right? You don't have a written agreement. You don't have anything signed. You have nothing. And I'm like, okay, first of all, next time, call me first. Here's who's going to fix it. And, and then tell your friends, right? So I don't understand how people still do that. But to say the one thing, Matt, about, I am getting my lender's license, and I'm doing this because in my office, there's been too much, my agents, for whatever reason, they're so good with people, but they hate the numbers. And I'm so sick of having this conversation with my agents where they're like, la, 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 I don't want to talk about it. They're really good, but we have to be problem solvers and to understand it more. So I'm getting my license to understand it and bring it in house. So we have someone sitting there, right? So that we have something, because I don't want to do it myself, but I do want the license in the house. But I think, it goes towards, I'm educating myself on things that are important to the consumer so that I can bring a little more expertise and say, look, I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough to know there's more products. Here's more opportunities for you. And I can point people in directions and then say, here's a person that's appropriate for you. And by the way, there's a few people, because I generally don't just recommend one lender. That could get you in a little bit of trouble too. Here's a few people, different products. You decide who your relationship's going to be best with, where your trust level lies. But I think by being educated in it was what I was going after with this, and being able to.
Well, Nancy, obviously not talking about you. We have you actually treat it like a real business, where I'm talking about the people that are literally doing this to survive. They literally can't. They're not going to be able to afford their bills without any other added revenues coming in. And by the way, speaking of lenders, Nancy, Rob, and Mark, Mike have seen every lender out there. This is a perfect example. Every lender out there, either on their list side or the buy side, they know who's gonna do right by you, who's not, and they're gonna be able to, again, cut that learning curve and go, hey, listen, it's the pizza place analogy. You move into a town, what's the best pizza? Well, there's a lot of pizza places. Here are my top 3, but if you want to really get the best slice, go here first. And it's the same thing with the lender, right? So you're covering your ass by letting them know there's top 3 I really like, but talk to this guy first. He's most likely going to take care of you, but if you need other ones, let me know.
Yeah, well, everything we do in real estate is cover your ass because we have to. So obviously, we just can't recommend one lender or one home inspector or whatever. We have to give a variety and choice. But the order we give them in is the order we give them in. And probably people are smart enough to figure it out. I go with Maximus first, then I go with this guy, and I go with this guy. But this comes to, it's important on who we work with. That's why when people pick their agent, they should really interview their agent also, whether they're buying a listing. Not just how many sales have you had. Who do you work with? Who are your people in your circle? What's their track record like? What's the future look like for us down the road in business? Because these are the important things. So I have my Get Seen Get Sold team, and I consider everybody that I work with, whether it's my transaction coordinator, my title company, the people that we recommend, or for home inspections or our lenders, that's part of the Get Seen Get Sold team. And we're scaling our business this year. And when I say scaling, we're building it appropriately. And the way I've been building my business appropriately this year, I've been cutting back on some of my agents. Not that they're not great people, they're not cutting it. They're not getting done what I need to get done. So I'm scaling the business to work for me. We're going to run lean and mean this year because I only want to work with the people that I feel are going to be able to get the job done. And that's really what's like the most important thing to me. And Mark and I had a conversation like 3 or 4 years ago. We were talking about, we had breakfast one morning. We were talking about my other company. And Mark says, give me the numbers. I showed him the numbers and he goes, shut the fucking door. What are you doing? He says, why are you wasting your time on this? When if you close that company, you could do 5-6 more deals a year and make that money back in no time. So the other thing is you got to listen to the people around you, your peers. I love not being the smartest guy in the room. I'm never the smartest guy in the room. I surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and that's always worked for me in life, and that's just the best way to do it.
Yeah. Look, the only time that I'm the smartest person in the room is when I'm with my kids, and that's it. And I'll always be the smartest person in the room at that time. But everything with all this shit comes down to just doing the right thing, and Rob knows this. And, we got 2 rules of prime, and it's do the right thing. I don't know where to frig my fingers over here, but do the right thing and don't get me sued. And if you do number 1, you shouldn't have to worry about number 2. Just do the right thing. And everyone who gets out there, by the way, here's a little side note to that. Lawsuits don't fucking scare me, guys. So everyone stop with the bullshit. I'm going to sue. I'm going to do this. Say whatever you want to say. Okay. Everyone sits there and starts to think, well, and I hear agents talk about, well, they're going to sue. They're going to sue. All right. So look, go ahead. At the end of the day, the majority of the time it doesn't come down to it. Stop being scared of attorneys. Stop being terrified of working with attorneys. Stop being scared of them threatening to sue. Okay. Sit down and have a conversation with people. Attorneys are people too. The same way that realtors are people too. The same way that brokers are people too. Sit down and just pick up the phone. Pick up this friggin' thing right here. Okay? Have a freaking conversation with someone. That's all you got to do. Stop texting everyone. Stop messaging people. Stop Snapchatting, TikToking, whatever. I don't have those things. Whatever it is, that just pick up the phone, have a conversation. Because you know what? 9 out of 10 times, shit's going to get done when you have a conversation with someone. Because all the big balls start to go away when you actually speak to someone on the phone or when you meet with someone face to face, God forbid.
Say that louder and put that in writing. Pick up that goddamn phone. Like I say this all day, every day, even to my staff, to my transaction coordinator. I sent an email. Pick up the fucking phone. Closing's in an hour and a half. This is what needs to happen. Negotiating, especially with attorneys, because the emails back and forth can get more contentious. And it's like, whoa, we're trying to find solutions. I'm not trying to fight with you. Pick up the phone. They're humans. People are a lot more. It's kind of like being in a car. Emails, nasty emails or loud texting. You pick up the phone, they're pussycats. It's like, come on. But people have lost that art. And I don't know what the hell they're afraid of, because you get so much more accomplished. And then it's okay, then put it in writing. All right. But let's negotiate that thing first. I'm saying it to my son. My son's 24 years old. He's in the business. And I see him furiously doing this. I'm like, let me see how many times you've picked up that fucking phone today, right? To call somebody, right? And that's maybe 2 or 3. And meanwhile, he's got 6 deals cooking. And I'm going, pick up the phone. Like, why is everything through text? It gets misconstrued. You can see texting and emails that go on for 2 or 3 days. Pick up the phone. Okay, we're going to do this together. And I'm sorry, Jared, I'm throwing you a little under the bus, but literally, let's do a group call. Let's do right now. Let's talk this through. And bingo, 15 minutes in, we're done. And the 2 or 3 days worth of stuff back and forth is gone. And this is the thing that I see with a lot of agents. I swear to God, you guys have had this. There's agents that whatever you've written, they're just forwarding it to their client. They're not negotiating with their client even a little bit, right? I know, Mark, you're shaking your head, right? I'm
Yep.
looking at these things going, are you even talking to your client, or are you just forwarding my message? Because that's not helpful. You should be guiding your client, whether this is correct or incorrect. I shouldn't be the one telling your client what's right or wrong. You should be schooling
At least
them.
load it to ChatGPT and tell it to change it up a little bit.
Something. And they're forwarding. So now all of the information is there for the clients too. And that's how people end up reaching out to me. And I'm like, cut and paste. My agents know to cut and paste if you've got to do something in writing. But come on, pick up the phone. Like that's
I think
earn your
part of it is
commission.
that there's the lost art of the phone is because there's this false sense of growth. It's not the reality that people have. This false sense of growth that people expect things to happen, expect things to come to them without putting the work into it. It comes from conversations and relationships. But the way that things are today, and I hate saying, younger people, older people, generations, it's not about that. It's really not about that. It's that what's the path of least resistance? The path of least resistance is to sit there and shoot a text message, shoot over an email, let me flex myself in there rather than actually picking up the phone. But the other part is that so many people out there today, when you see the phone ring, this is what happens. Oh, God. That's the reaction. It's like when people are knocking on the door. We used to love to have company come to the house. We had cement mins there. We'd have company. Now no one wants to have any company coming.
That's fear. That's people being chicken shit. They don't want to face the reality of the conversation. It's easier to skirt a conversation where you can't tell tone or temperament by an email or a text message when a 3-minute phone call can get something cleared up and verified. I cannot stand when I watch 9 emails go back and forth in an hour over the same goddamn detail. Was the home inspection done? What was this, and that? You know what? Drop the email with the facts in it. Make that phone call the follow-up then, and make sure everybody's on the same page. I'm not saying that it's just youth today or whatever, because I think, some of us are in the older generation. I know I'm typical age of the average real estate agent. I'm 52 or whatever. Well, not whatever. I know I'm 52, but we pick up the phone. We talk. Texting is something that didn't come to me until my late 20s, my early 30s. I get so much more accomplished. I built my whole first year in real estate on answering my phone. Literally, that was my whole thing, was answering my phone. I mean, even some of the real estate agents, and there's one that works for Mark and Rob, think it's funny. They'll call me at 2 a.m. to see if I'll answer the phone. So, not mention any names, Kelly. But, it's... But it's true. You got to answer the phone and you got to be responsive. That's my biggest freaking pet peeve. And I did a Facebook post on it like 4.5 years ago. And when I posted, it wasn't even up for 3 minutes. And I got a call from Nexus, from the board. And they're like, hey, do you think you could take that post down? And I said, why? What's wrong with it? And they said, well, you're really offending agents and doesn't give them a good light and this, and that. I said, well, first of all, I didn't name any specific agent. I'm talking about agents in general. And if it offends any agent, then they're the ones that answer their fucking phone.
Hey,
Rob's like, I get that call every Friday.
Yeah, right. I theoretically should get the call every Friday, but here's what's funny about it. Mike, I'm going to be honest with you. I should get you a trophy. That's never happened to me.
Right.
Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. I don't know.
Yeah, well.
Speaking of hard conversations, right, that's what we're paid to do. Ironically enough, I just got a text from Paul. We're dealing with a house we have co-listed, and we accepted an offer in highest and best, and somebody came in with an offer after the cutoff, and I legally have to present it, and it happens to be $20,000 higher than everybody else. So I'm about to piss another agent off. But here's the thing, right? As much as I don't have that conversation, it's what's in the best interest of the seller. I'm going to present the offer. The seller's probably going to say, take it.
Yep. And
if we do the right thing to do that we should do, we'll give that other buyer the first right of refusal, but we all know what that answer is going to be.
Sure.
So, that's part of our job. Our job is to have these tough conversations. And I think that unfortunately most people are afraid of them. That's why they don't pick up.
Well, I wanted to jump in a little bit here and just talk about again, going back to the root of the problem too, is obviously, we're dealing with younger and younger buyers that are coming into the market, and everything is transactional for them. You know, I just talked to one just now, and he's using one of our agents, and I said, oh, how do you know that agent? You know, do you, family, friends, referral? He goes, no, I just Googled her, and I read all the reviews of every agent in the area, and I got a good idea of who I wanted to work with, and that's who I'm working with. And then lender wise, he told me, goes, I'm shopping you with 5 other lenders. And I'm reading, he goes, I don't see a lot of reviews on you personally. He's like, so maybe you could tell me a little bit about yourself. And so the point is, and we had a very good conversation. In the end, we're all good. But in the end, these it's affordability, big problem. And then when you have people that don't really know any better, they're looking at this NAR thing as thinking, oh, this is a way to save a few bucks, right? It's like the discount code when you're
Right.
scrolling through Instagram. Mark wouldn't know any of this, but like you're scrolling through Instagram and you get that discount code at checkout, and you're like, oh shit, I saved 25%. Look at me, So that's the problem, is you're dealing with a whole generation that doesn't talk on the phone. Everything is transactional. They're on Amazon, they read the reviews, they buy this product, and they're taking that approach to real estate, and they're not really realizing the chaotic nature of real estate and how really it's a complete shit show, but it's the professionals that are able to filter the shit. That sounds disgusting, but filter
It is
it
what it
to a
is.
point where we can go, all right, listen, here's the deal. Here's your inspection report. It looks really bad. Let me kind of explain this in layman's terms, and let's have a real conversation. Let's talk. And to Nancy's point, Rob, Mark, I mean, you guys are, I do a lot of training on CRMs, as you guys all know, and we talk about tech, and we get to a point where people are interested. And I've had all these young agents look at me and they go, all right, cool. Well, what AI do we use here? And what script what follow-up campaign do we use here? And I go, oh, this is when the puff protocol comes into effect. And they go, oh, the puff protocol, that sounds techie. What is it? I go, yeah, puff, pick up the fucking phone, Nancy, right? So it's that,
Amen.
it's amazing. It's amazing what that can accomplish. And in the end, people watching this, if you're like, all right, what does all this have to do with NAR and everything? You're looking at people. Look, this is like the 5 on Fox, right? So I'm the asshole Democrat in the out of the other 4, and I'm telling you like the real life stuff, because they don't want to tell you themselves, because obviously they're all amazing. The 4 people on here, Mikey even included, they're really good at what they do, and they're like so, being humble right now, even Rob. But I swear to God, I've seen everybody on here like take the craziest situation where you're like, that deal's definitely dead. We're definitely not gonna get the settlement, and somehow it gets the settlement. That's what you pay people for. And in the end, do you want to live in there with your family in the right neighborhood in the right town and get it for the price that's right at the time? Or do you want to trust someone that's cutting their commission to 1%, driving around? That was tried, by the way. That was tried. And there were assholes driving around Mini Coopers called the Foxtons, and that didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
Amen.
I totally forgot I had an interesting point. I totally forgot what it was.
Well, you know what? So what I wanted to bring this up too is a lot of times also, I think agent to agent, they don't communicate the way they should, is because a lot of agents see each other as adversaries, and we're not.
Right.
We're on team get it done. And that's what it is. We are really on team get it done. And if we truly want to be professional, we understand. If I'm doing a deal with Nancy and I brought her a buyer, and Nancy's got somebody else that came in 20 grand heavier than my guy, I have no problem with Nancy calling me and say, hey, you know what, Mike, you didn't cut it. See you later on this one. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm not going to be pissed off at Nancy because, she's doing the right thing by her client. I'm going to congratulate her. Hey, Nancy, congratulations. You got 20 grand more. Fucking amazing. Get it done.
Wait,
we don't have that
today. I have a fun story. So I'm actually I was banned from a restaurant because a restaurant owner didn't get his offer accepted on one of my listings. It was my fault. So I was actually asked, this is a place that I went to every day for years, promoted his business. I kid you not. I was there every Tuesday, and I walked in with somebody and said, he didn't win a bid on. I mean, we had honestly like 65 offers on this property. It was a killer property and well above asking the whole deal. But, and of course it's the seller's choice. I don't get to decide, but came down to 2 people at the end. The seller's negotiating with both. And one of them would have been my buyer. So here's the killer. I would have actually gotten a bigger commission. And the seller chose the other buyer. And because it was a veteran and like for all of it, right. And it was like similar money, but had to feel good about it. And then 3 days later, I was asked to leave this restaurant. Haven't been back since. But it was my fault that the buyer chose somebody else, right? I should have steered them a certain way. And I even heard that from the attorney that hung out there with me frequently. I've never been more floored, but this is what people do. They take it out on you. And I've had first-time buyers, or I'm sorry, move-up buyers call me, yell at me and say, your client's greedy. Like they're taking a higher offer and this and that. And I'm like, the agent gave him my phone number. And he's like, well, I took the first offer that I got. And I was like, maybe your agent left some money on the table. I don't know what to say, but my client, this is America. It's whatever the market will bear. We have much higher offers. And so my client has a right to accept whatever offer he wants. And he did not accept yours. Right. And so, but this is what people do. I'm the bad guy because my clients chose more money, but I'm the bad guy. And and agents do the same thing. And I just kind of go, when you do as many deals as we do, you come across this behavior. And I'm like, all right, so I'm banned from a restaurant. I've got people yelling at me. Meanwhile, I've done the best job I can for my client. My client that I represent is thrilled. But it's our fault when things go sideways or that monetary thing. And it's interesting to see it. I think,
and
I know you want to know which restaurant I'm banned from. I'm not talking about it, but it's one of those things.
Keep that quiet. Look, my opinion, like when you talk about having relationships with other people and where agents are adversarial with each other, confrontational with each other, rather than trying to work something out. And Rob and I have had several discussions about this topic itself. But I mean, I think I learned by default when I first got into the business that I needed the other agents to be allies because the model that I had was similar to a Foxton's. Matt, it was a flat fee brokerage and everybody hated me. Nobody knew me, but everybody hated me, even though they were still getting paid 8% commission. It was different. So everybody hated me. I got blackballed. So I had to spend a lot of time talking to other agents, building relationships with other agents. And that's why I've spent a lot of time over my career is building those relationships with other people. But I think, and again, my opinion, I've been a part of different big box places. That's not something that's taught because my opinion for all you lawsuit people happy out there is that a lot of agents at other places it's like they're owned by there. And there's a fear. Don't let them go out into the wild and talk to other people at other places because God forbid they leave and go somewhere else. It's like that's kind of a mentality that I believe as at other places. Where I'm like, go speak to people. Go network at every event that you can. Meet everyone. That's a big part of your job. Execute on that. Go talk to people, meet them. Yep. Not enough is done.
Yeah,
it's not taught a lot, not trained enough.
No, I think everybody, like you said, is afraid of being recruited or brokers are afraid of having other agents get recruited. So they don't tell them to go and do that. But the networking side of things, I mean, even if we're talking about real estate renegades, I mean, we brought our own agents, but we also appealed to agents that weren't at any of the brokerages that were affiliated with the events. So, people would come in. I think Nancy and Bobby both got somebody from that. I think I got somebody from that too. Like it's one of those things where it's just about networking. And
the first thing, the first comments though, before those people came anywhere near us was, I learned more in the 2 hours sitting here talking to you for free than in the 1.5 or 2 years I've been in a brokerage where I'm paying fees to be there. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be the case, so, and you can always call and ask questions. Like that's what you're there for. That our clients are our agents, right? As much as our buyers and sellers are,
yep.
Right? And if you're not answering the phone, you don't belong in this business.
Yeah. Look, that's it. I don't work with buyers or sellers anymore. I backed myself out of production a couple years ago. So my time is with the agents, and I love doing that. That just happens to be a niche of the business that I enjoy doing as opposed to the buyers and sellers. I did it for a long time. Don't want to do it anymore. I found a different passion that I have, and that's awesome. So do I still network with agents? I do. I don't do it as much as I used to when I was younger. I have 4 boys. They're active. We're doing stuff all the time. Rob does a lot more than I do. Matt, your business built on networking. You're at La Scala or G-Bar or somewhere all the time doing the network. But that's a piece of the business, not breaking balls. But I mean, that's a good piece of the business. And what yeah, networking is very expensive.
The line that we always use is that the misconception is that the broker is your boss. It's not the employee mindset when you're a 1099 contractor. You have to you got to remove that because, like Mark said before, you're a business owner. So you've got to set it up like a business. You should have business structure. You should have your business accounts, operating tax, et cetera, so on and so forth. So all that stuff comes down to the mindset of actually treating yourself like a business owner and not a employee of the brokerage. And once you've mastered that thought and you have educated yourself enough that you're at the top of the tier in this business, to be honest with you, the actual value of being at a big box brokerage completely goes away.
Well, I was in house, and I don't want to name names, but it rhymes with Schmeller Schmilliams. And when I was the in-house for them, I always thought it was so funny because, like, there's so many memes that go around. It's like, are you working on your business, in your business kind of thing? And they were so busy being on these panels and these committees and, hosting all these great events like internally that they made themselves think that they were busy. But in reality, they were just cheap labor. And so, and listen, Gaurav, if there's a lot of people like, Joe, I love all you guys, and it's the model, but in the end, you got to make sure, and that's fine. I'm all about culture, and you put a certain amount of time into building the community, because every brokerage, that's why you're involved with it. Why involved in churches and sports teams and all this other stuff, because it's a community. And I've seen Mark, I've seen Rob, your dad, Rob's dad works with them and over at the brokerage, and everybody comes over. They've been using my conference room as like home base for their stuff. But it's really amazing to see everybody kind of get together and learn together, and it's very cool. And I'm not saying that Schmeller Schmilliams doesn't have good stuff going. Of course they do. I'm busting balls here, but my point is, we got to all take this seriously, because AI is coming. A lot of people don't realize AI exponentially is going to grow year after year after year. You think in 3 years AI is going to be like a little bit better than it is now? It's going to be light years ahead of where it is right now. So if you're not ahead of it, if you don't have your database together, if you don't have a diversified business, if you're not picking up the phone, doing the shit that robots can't really do right now yet, if you're not doing all the basics in business and growing, you're going to be out. You're going to be out. So, especially in my business, the numbers and the underwriting and all the algorithms, it's already taking over. So the only residual we have in this business are the relationships we develop along the way. And that's how I want to leave this conversation of, I think everyone watching this should either, if you're an agent or a professional in the business, focus on that. And if you're someone looking to hire somebody like us, that's the type of person that you want to be attracted to that gets that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's two different schools of thought in the way that I look at it. And again, we talk about it a lot, is that there's a realtor mentality and a business owner mentality. And in the realtor mentality looks at a person as a check, and that's it. Business owner mentality sees someone there. They see a person, they see a human being that has a lifelong value to the growth of who they are and what they want to be. And when you look at that person with the lifelong value of who that's going to assist you and who you are and what you want to be, that completely changes your business model, completely changes your mindset, and changes everything that you're doing on a daily basis. So the realtor mentality, I'm sorry guys, but with all these changes that are happening, that's going to go away. I think it's going to take a couple cycles of board renewals and license renewals for that to really kind of matriculate itself out. But it can't be anything where it's just that I'm hunting after a check and that's it. It's a person, it's a human being. Focus on that. Money becomes the byproduct of how you treat people. We don't sell real estate, and I tell that to people. You're not selling real estate. For everyone who's saying that you sold 40 homes, 50 homes, 100 homes, unless your name was on a deed, you didn't sell shit. You didn't sell anything. What you sold was the reaction to the experience that you provide. Focus on that. We don't have enough people that focus on selling the reaction to the experience you provide. Do that and you're going to be okay in any market. It doesn't matter what's going on or any lawsuit that comes down or any bullshit that's happening.
Yep.
We're
in the service industry.
I was going to say, years ago, I literally said to my team, if we only got paid in 5-star reviews, like we got paid in 5-star reviews, what would the business look like? And that's how I built my team. literally, because if you do right, exactly, Mark, if you do right, the money will come. It's all about getting people to their goals, getting someone to a house, for me, getting their agents to their goals. We sit down every year and have a discussion about what are your goals for the coming year, personal and professional, because they're not just a robot. And, we build that into what then the brokerage is going to do. And I decide if I'm going to recruit based on what the team's needs are. What is the team doing? And then what do I want to do? And do I need to expand, or do I just need to level them up? But it was all based on 5-star reviews. And that's, when you look us up, we have a lot of 5-star reviews, and it's our clients saying they've had that experience, because they're the ones, that relationship, they're going to come back to us. It's funny. I have my agents, we do lead gen and we give them appointments, and my agents are like, oh, I got a referral. Like, this is really cool. And it's like, that's your job, man. We're going to sell the house, or we're going to find them a house. Your job is to make it so happy that they come back. That's how we build a business. Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's not transactional. It's about building a business. And that's the mindset. Yeah. And
shouldn't be focused on a one-off, we're not. And, I always preach to the people that I work with and said, we're customer service. That's what we are. We just happen to be the vehicle that they go through to buy or sell a house, but we are customer service. And, I worked for a big cable company in the area, and I'll tell you honestly, they taught me how not to do customer service. And I could flip that script on them, and I do it the other way. And, my clients love it. But I have buyers that don't get the deal that they wanted, and they're going to take a pause, but they still love me. And you know what? They'll still refer me out. Like, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, due to our finances and the market moving, so on and so forth, we weren't able to get a house, but you got to give Mike a call, because this guy he's down to earth. He gets it done. And it's all about the customer service, and it's the presence and what it is. And then, the other thing I want to talk about is everybody on this board and this panel is great, because you guys share your education and you share what's happening. And I don't want anybody that's listening or not to think, I slighted them by not having them here. There's only so many people we can have on here, but there's a lot of people that give back and don't use it as a recruiting opportunity. Mary Murphy, she holds events all the time, and it's not a whole big recruiting thing. You guys do your renegade real estate stuff. Mark talks to me about real estate stuff and helps me out. Mark doesn't just say, Mike, what are you doing? Come on over here to Prime Realty Partners. When I'm ready to make a move or do whatever I got to do, or open up the GetSeenGetSold brokerage, 2025, who knows? But I'm grateful for having all of you. And, it's nice to know all of you, and I really appreciate you all.
That was an amazing final thought, Jerry.
Hey, Rob, congratulations. I saw you on Drew's podcast the other day. I heard his little one coming.
Oh. Yeah. Well, now everybody who's tuned in, all the people now probably know, June 22nd. So it's coming up real quick.
Her name is going to be Mark.
No problem. I see a GetSeenGetSold onesie in your future.
There we go. I'll let her wear it.
Congratulations, man. Really happy for you, dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it'll calm me down. I'll be off Facebook a little bit more.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
Rob will be in the delivery room going, what's the problem with this doctor here? He doesn't want to.
He will be. Now, Mike,
speaking of, I got my daughter, wants to hang. She had a sleepover last night, so she misses daddy. So I'm gonna go do a quality time. Nancy, I got to tell you, I was really excited to be on with you. All our travels, I really haven't had a chance to hang with you, and I've been so impressed and watching you from afar. So you're amazing, Rob and Mark. You know how I feel about you. Love you, man. But love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much. Those really kind words, Matt. I look forward to working with you. Matt, Mark, you and I have to get face to face one of these days. And as much as we've had our words and exchanges over the time, we're pretty similar. So it's good to know. And I figured it's good, and it's an awesome opportunity to meet people and to make the circle bigger and stronger. I shouldn't say bigger.
No, I want to come down. I mean, Mariano's, whatever it is, down in Mullica Hill.
Oh, Naples. You got to come to Naples down in Mullica Hill.
I was there one time. It was all right.
So it's better. I mean, there is a Marinos down here, but Naples.
Marinos, that's it. Marinos. That was good.
Marinos is good, but you got to, trust me. Naples, you come with me. We take care of you like family. It's all good.
No, I want to get about 10 of us to roll deep to that restaurant that banned you, and then go up to the owner and be like, I'm in the mood to spend some serious fucking money tonight. And then when he sees you and he says we can't go in, I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
It's going to be our pretty woman moment.
I love you. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's great.
All right, guys. Great seeing you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the time with everyone. Really do.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Mike, for putting this
See you
together.
guys. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Hey, everybody. So that's going to be a wrap on the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast. Thank you again to Matt, Nancy, Rob, and Mark. These are really important people. They, in my life, maybe not to you, but they're important because I value what they give back to the industry, the education, the sharing. They are definitely not selfish. They have no problem with helping other people out. You know, I always tease it's like realtors across borders or whatever, because none of them will hesitate to help you and give you the right information. You know, part of it is because they want to give back. And, you know, we all have to work together. Like I said earlier, we're not adversaries. We're all on the same team. It doesn't matter what logo we're wearing on our shirt, what flag we're flying or whatever. We're all here to get it done. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to Get Seen, Get Sold podcast, and we'll talk to you real soon.
All right, renegades and rulers of reality. That's a wrap on another ruthless round of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast. Stay wild. Stay wild. Keep your listings lit and your negotiations nasty. Until next time, don't just get listed. Get seen. Get sold. Drop the mic. We out.